Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live here over on YouTube. Appreciate everyone that joins, or whether you're watching on the replay. I do really appreciate anyone that gives, even if it's a minute of their time, to watching my content. As always, it is greatly appreciated. So I've chucked a comment on here, just pretty much if you've got a question, tax, crypto, NFTs, business, investing, anything else, drop it in the comments and I will get to it. As always, I talk about a topic. So tonight I'm going to talk a little about crypto tax tracking. But if you're not interested in that, fire other questions at me, because at the end of the day, these lives are all about talking about things that you guys want to know. So that's the whole aim of me doing these lives, is purely to have an interaction with the audience, because you don't always get that through the normal YouTube video. So I love being able to do these via the lives and just have a chat to people, answer questions. You know, your question might be something else that someone else is thinking. So as always, I'm going to do a few plugs at the top here. So if you haven't already joined the Discord, make sure you join that, because these kind of like conversations I have in the live are happening in the Discord. It's in written form. You can search up, if you're interested in how does this work for property investing, or how does this work for crypto staking, or is anyone doing mining? You can search that in Discord and see the conversations that have already been had. And there's lots of cool stuff that's happening there. So I think we're at 188 members. Someone's just joined just before we've started. So I'm really excited to hit that 200 member mark. That'd be a really cool milestone there for the Discord. And as always, we have the NFT project. So if you're interested in the NFT project, head over to the Rooshock's website. There's still plenty of mint over there. I'm carrying out more and more services to holders, which is really fun. I've got some really cool ideas that I'm just brainstorming just before I jumped on here about future utility for some of these tokens. So there is more to come in this space. Watch this space, but definitely no better time than now to get in. And just as we've done the last few lives, we have a copy of 12 and a half, the Gary Vee book. So anyone who mints an NFT during tonight's live or for the rest of the night, make sure you send me a message and I'll get you a copy of this book out. It's such a great book, and I love to do those kind of things on the channel. And that's the fun thing that I can do with the NFT project, and I'm going to talk about it in a bit more depth later on. But I'll check the comments. So Chris is here. G'day, Chris. Thanks for swinging by. I think you've got your own live in an hour or so's time, so I'll make sure I jump by over there. And like I said, tonight I'm going to, let me get rid of this thing here. Tonight I'm going to be talking a little bit about crypto tax tracking, purely because it's a topic that seems to be coming up a lot at the moment. If you're in the Discord, you see a few discussions regarding it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how I may be able to help you with it. But in general, and this goes for pretty much, I suppose, anything, whether it's crypto, whether it's running a business, whether it's having a investment property, or whether it's just as an individual taxpayer, you need to be tracking things, and you want to be tracking things throughout the year, because it's going to make your life a hell of a lot easier come tax time. So we've only got just over 2 months until the end of June. You don't want to be running around in July trying to find stuff, and especially with crypto. So the tracking, you want to be onto it. You know, I mean, I ideally do mine each week if I've done any trades and stuff. I'm not trading actively a lot, but you know, even if you're doing it once a month, reconciling things on a consistent basis. If you're running a business, cloud software such as Xero and stuff like that, you want to be on top of these things, not letting it bulk build up, because then it becomes a massive job, and either you've got to spend hours or potentially days trying to track things, or you then got to pay your accountant a massive bill to get things back up to date. So that's some of the things that, so with crypto tracking, I look at crypto software. I've got some videos on my channel. If you haven't already gone and watched them, I've done a review of Coinly, crypto tax calculator. I think I've talked about coin tracking as well. There's some others out there. Coin Panda, I think. Coin Gecko maybe is one. There's lots of different options out there, but you want to find one that works for you. But again, it all comes down to using it and actually keeping on top of it. So if you're not keeping on top of it, it becomes a nightmare. So I've been running into a lot of, and if people are interested, I do have a demo account with Crypto Tax Calculator where we could run some figures and do a live kind of demonstration. So if people are interested in that type of stuff, just let me know. But in general, you want to keep on top of it, and then it'll allow you to tackle those challenges. So for instance, I come across a challenge within my own thing, which I've still got to sort out. But I minted my VFriend Series 2, and the way the smart contract was worked out is that the way the funds were sent, they were sent to a different address as to what then sent me the NFT. So it'll come across in 2 transactions. So I have different options with that, but I know about it. I can tackle it now because I know what that transaction is and whether it's going to support and asking what's the best way to handle this, or whether it's doing some manual adjustments, or whether maybe I have to readjust how something's coded within the software. But by being on top of it, I remember exactly what those transactions were or exactly what had happened. So if you're not keeping on top of that, then you're definitely going to run into some issues later on, because it's like if you come across it and you're like, oh, I can't remember what that was 6 months later, that definitely is going to cause you some issues. So got one comment, a TTC demo would be sweet as to look at. Yeah, I've got a demo file of it. I don't think it's got any demo data in it. So I've just got to work out ways to get some data in there. But yeah, it's definitely something I want to do and do some videos on, trying to show, look, how do I work through when I've got problems in the software? What's my, step one, step two, step three? So yeah, definitely something I'm going to do more. But yeah, the software is there to help you, but it's not going to do everything for you. And that's the challenge I'm definitely coming across with clients. I have the challenges myself when I'm trying to do work for clients in the software, is that you do come across new challenges daily, because there are different things that are happening in the crypto space that are brand new. And therefore, I've got to work out, how did that work? Like, because the softwares don't solve all your problems, but they're definitely there to help. So if you have never heard of them, go and watch some of the videos I've done on my channel, because I hope I've given a brief overview of how they work and how they can definitely save you some time. But don't be surprised if you may still, if you've got 3,000 transactions, don't be surprised if you're going to be looking at 15 to 20 hours of work to get that reconciled. That's the reality. If you're going to trade, and I've got clients that I come across where they're doing 50 trades in a day. If you're going to be doing that, then you need to have a system in place and be aware it is going to be time consuming, especially once you start moving things between wallets or interacting with DeFi contracts. It's not going to be just easy as far as enter all this into software. It's going to all reconcile. It's likely that you're going to have to do work to reconcile that. So that's just my one thing, is that it is a time consuming process. So even the other day, I helped a client on a Zoom meeting. They only had about 60 transactions, and we spent a good solid hour to an hour and a half going through some transactions on Zoom. So this can be time consuming. So don't expect, if you've got thousands of transactions, it is going to take hours. It's not going to be done in 5 minutes. And that's my biggest thing that I want people to understand with it. The octopus. Someone told me I can get free donuts here. Well, I'd love to know where, because I would love some donuts. I had a pizza early on, but no donuts. So I'm not sure where these donuts are stashed, but if you do come across them, I love them. And then, so I want to talk about how I can help with this crypto tax tracking thing. So I have opened up some limited spots, which are quickly filling. I'm not going to take much more of this work on probably in the next couple of months, probably the next 6 months, to be honest. It's going to be quite limited of doing your crypto tax tracking. It's individualized. I quote based on each different job, because they do vary dramatically. But I have taken on a few clients in the last week. We've been working through them. There is a lot of back and forth still, because I have to ask questions. So I have to go, what's this wallet address that you've sent funds to? Oh, yep, sorry, I forgot that's a wallet I've got, another MetaMask account, etc. So it's back and forth, but I am taking on some of that work. It is going to be limited because it is time consuming. Therefore, my time is a bit limited. But I do want to help people with this kind of stuff. So it is something that my business is expanding on. But like I said, spots are going to be limited. But if you're stuck on that reconciling and you need someone to help, then definitely feel free to reach out. My biggest thing, though, is we are only a month or less than a month away from that tax deadline if you're using an agent. So if you're looking for reports to either get us to do the return or send it off to your accountant, you're really going to have to get in within the next week, purely because time is running out. And I suppose for those that know a little bit about what I've got going over the next few months, is I am off to VCon, which is just after that deadline. So for a week in May, I'm away on a personal holiday for a week in June, and then it's going to be tax time. So if you've got work that you want done before tax time, then make sure you get in touch with me. I've had a lot of calls over the last couple of weeks. Definitely still got the capacity there. I'm still taking on client work, but I just want to make sure that you give me plenty of time so I can make sure I hit the deadlines that you need it done by. So got Dave with a question. Great topic. What tracking service, if any, do you use? Personally, I use Crypto Tax Calculator a little bit more than anything else at the moment, purely because I've got a few NFT things going on, and I've found it handles NFTs the best out of any of the software I've used. Coinly is pretty solid as well, so I don't mind using Coinly. I just don't find they quite handle the NFT side thing as well, and maybe some of the transfer stuff. But I think they all can do a job, but they only do a job up to a certain part, and they're so much better when you're on top of them all the time. So It might sound crazy, but it almost might be worth it every time you know you've done some trades to go in, even if it's daily to start with, reconcile those transactions so you're keeping on top of it. And it's also a great way to, keep on top of so you know where your portfolio is sitting. And I haven't even touched on the tax planning benefits of being on top of these things, but I'm using this with clients that are using these softwares, sending me the reports and making sure we're on top of things so that we can put a tax plan in place and save money. The whole point of tracking things is not just to report it, but it's to be able to plan on these things. So, do you find a certain spreadsheet that works better for CSVs in particular? Have a preference? Excel, Google Sheets. Is that in just? I'm not quite sure what that question is. Whether it's just in general or whether you're talking about like for any type of tracking in particular. Personally, if we're just talking about spreadsheets in general, I use Google Sheets with Excel when I have sometimes there's some more advanced things that just don't work too well in Google Sheets, but I run all my business with Gmail and stuff, so I definitely find Google Sheets. But yeah, that's a interesting one. So yeah, definitely ask more questions. Let's start a donut tax write-off. Yeah, so we could do it. We could try. I'm not quite sure where we can fit that into the tax return. Maybe donations. I'm not quite sure. How are we going to get donuts into a tax write-off? But Chris has sent some donut emojis. So, hey, Ethan, does ownership of your NFT cover software correction? So this is an interesting one, and this is something I was going to touch on later, but I'm happy to jump into it now. So none of my NFTs in particular have a utility that is software correction. But what I have done with a few clients recently is that they've purchased an NFT. What we have done is then customize the utilities to work it for that. So they may cash in some of the business strategy sessions, and we're using that for the software correction. So pretty much that's something I'm really wanting to open it up for going forward for the NFT project. Is that if you're interested in other services, so it doesn't have to be just tax returns, and maybe you're interested in that software correction stuff like that, I want to open that up and give you that flexibility that if you buy an NFT, we can come to a deal with how we redeem those utilities for that token. So think of it, the NFT is your way into discounted services through Rooshock accounting, through my business, etc. So there's definitely the ability to customize that. So I'm more than happy, send me a message, send me an email or whatever, and I'll talk to you about how we can use the NFT project to account for whatever services you're after. So we've got donations. So yeah, donations. See if that one sneaks through in the tax return. So Chris has got Octo open a Donut King. I looked into that, but they don't anoint you as royalty, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't mind Donut King. I haven't had it for a while. I did see one the other day and was tempted to get one, but didn't quite happen. But yeah, I love that. Just realized staking credits adding heaps of transactions data to push up the cost of tracking plan if based on transactions. Yeah, this is an issue, and it's something I'm raising with the software companies that sometimes the way they're priced based on a number of transactions, I don't really think that's fair then based on the way that they're then trying to do, like handle things like staking. I know that a few of them are looking at changing some of these pricing models. But yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one because the more transactions you've got, the more quite often they're trying to slug you for fees. I think Coinly is a little bit more pricey than Crypto Tax Calculator, just off the top of my head. But yeah, it is an issue. I mean, you could always try and track that stuff separately or delete out the transactions and manually put them in, but that's a bit of a hassle, and it potentially is going to cause you other issues down the track. But yeah, I haven't done a lot of staking, but when I did, it was annoying because you had transactions coming in all the time. So yeah, that part is a little bit frustrating. So, and then we've got a reply to that. Yeah, stop the daily reward in Coinbase so as not having any trivial transactions. I think that's the thing with some of the staking things is that as long as you got like 1 cent a day, and is it really worth having those transactions? And they're just creating more work for you sometimes if it's not working very well. So that's definitely something that's an interesting area. So did have one here about, yes, I've heard that Excel doesn't work as well for some reason. Yeah, I think everyone has their own preferences on what, and it depends what you're trying to do. Obviously, CSV files are great for certain importing, exporting stuff. So have another question here. So how many days should be between dumping a coin and rebuying to avoid the look of tax loss harvesting? So we don't have, like, or some people might call this wash sales. We don't have a set amount of days here in Australia on how that works. The biggest thing comes down to intent and your situation before and after. So if you sell something and then rebuy, and really your financial position hasn't changed, and you've just done it to recognize a tax loss, ATO aren't going to like that if they were to do an in-depth audit. The chance of that happening is probably unlikely. Depends on how much funds and stuff you've got, but you always run the risk. It comes down to, with crypto, it's a little bit different because there is a bit more leeway that if you were to sell a loss position in coin A and then buy coin B, you can't really deem that as a wash sale because the ATO deem them as separate assets. So you have a bit more flexibility there. But yeah, in general, look, if you're trying to do something purely for tax avoidance, you definitely run the risk. And there's that fine line between genuine tax saving methods and tax fraud and tax avoidance. But there isn't a set number of days, and that's why people can get a little bit caught up. So Dave said, yeah, I'll be doing the same. Yeah. So sometimes those minor staking things, and that's something else I try and tell people is that I know a lot of people want to experiment with all these different DeFi things and crypto things and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you've got to remember the onus is on you to track things. So if you're not got a system in place to track it or anything like that, or is it going to create so much work for you? You don't want to be spending an hour doing your transactions if you're going to make half a cent. Like, you've got to consider how much work am I putting into it, because you can't just go, this is too hard, I don't want to have to do it. Or you're going to end up spending thousands of dollars towards you're going to be spending thousands of dollars towards accounting fees and stuff, or software fees and all these things. You got to weigh up, is what you're doing worth it? Have you worked out the best way to do it? Is it creating a massive burden for you? So yeah, that's some of the stuff I want to talk about, the crypto tax tracking thing. So it's some great questions. So, regarding tax loss harvesting, you could try that I sold them when I was drunk or similar excuse. Not sure how well I was drunk would go in an audit, but worth a shot. So I also have them redacted. I have a staking rewards paid weekly. That way it's a decent amount each time whilst not having a million transactions. So yeah, sometimes people are trying to simplify things and get them paid out weekly or monthly, purely to keep things a little bit more simpler from a tracking point of view. So I don't think there's never, like, if you can make your life easier and still end up in the same financial position, that's definitely never going to be an issue. So we've got another question. If I can't find old transactions on exchange because that exchange doesn't keep files, will tax office be able to find them, or should I be worried about recovering them? So this is an interesting question. So I've come across the issue with an exchange where I couldn't get access to. Lucky I had my transactions saved in another software so I could come across them. But the onus is on you to be able to track things. But if the exchange hasn't got those files, it does become very difficult. So if you can't get the data and the exchange can't get the data, there's no way the ATO are going to be able to get that data. But if the ATO come asking questions of, okay, for instance, say you went and bought Bitcoin in exchange 1 and you sent that to exchange 2. Then when you've sold it in exchange 2, if you have no record of that initial purchase and you can't find anything, there is the chance that on an audit, the ATO go, well, that has no cost base. So that could be a potential issue. So the onus is on you. I do have the opinion that if, you can't find it, the exchange can't find it, the ATO probably isn't going to be able to find it either. But it could still negatively affect you, because if you've got nothing, then potentially you've got a $0 cost base, and therefore that's going to run into some issues. So obviously, the number one way to fix that is to start tracking your things ongoing, because then if an exchange goes bankrupt and you lose all access to that data, you should already have that data pulled somewhere else into a software. So Brad's joined. G'day, Brad. How are you? Hope you're going well. Couldn't imagine having all my different stakes paid data. Yeah, I've seen it for some clients before where they've got a lot of different things going on, and it gets pretty crazy to keep on top of. So, and then, the redact said data sounds nice, but quite cumbersome. If using like crypto tax calculators, your regular tracking software, can you use one CSV for different transactions from different wallets, or is it best to use one spreadsheet per wallet transaction? Per wallet exchange. So you need to use separate CSV files for each different exchange/wallet, because the way crypto tax calculator will handle these things is that each wallet and exchange is going to be a different wallet or exchange. So I had a client I spoke to last week where they had tried to put a whole bunch of transactions into one spreadsheet, and they were mixing up a couple wallets, and it was causing a lot of issues. So once we split them back out, put 1, put 2, and then it worked a lot better. So it is a bit more time consuming, but obviously that's why ideally if you can use APIs, it works well, or use CSV straight from exchanges. But that's kind of the basics of how that works. So yeah, daily sounds nice, but quite cumbersome. Yeah, so true. Like, at the end of the day, if it's not going to generate you any more income and it's going to create you a lot more work, you have to question why you're doing it. So yes, smash the like button, guys. I'm not sure if anyone's been hitting that like button, but make sure you do. Appreciate you guys that are all tuning in, watching tonight. Can you estimate cost base? So not really. That's the reality of it. But it does depend, I guess, then on, it depends on if you get an audit as who you get as to what kind of records they're going to want to do. One simple way, I suppose, if you're really struggling on a cost base and you cannot find it, would to be use the lowest cost that in the time frame you've been trading that would be the purchase, or if you've got an estimate of date, you could go down that path. That is not ideal, but it could be a method you go down, and then you'd have to take that risk that in an audit the ATO took that explanation. So for instance, okay, you've bought Bitcoin within the last, you only started buying it 12 months ago, then you would understand that the lowest, even if you took the lowest possible point that Bitcoin was in that price, then you're not screwing on over. You've definitely not doing the wrong thing. But yeah, anytime you start to do estimates, you do run into the risk that the ATO don't like that, especially if you get an audit. But obviously, if you've got no way to get that data, then an estimate is likely to be better than nothing at all. But having having the records, anytime you're going to use an estimate, you really want to detail why you had no other option. So it's like a last case scenario kind of thing. So got your thanks. No worries. Appreciate all the questions. Definitely some great questions. And I'm sure some others that are either watching tonight or watching on a replay may have similar questions. So I heard that complimentary donuts will be given away when you press the like button. Well, I can't promise that, but what I can promise, if you buy one of the NFTs tonight, you will get a copy of this complimentary. It'll be sent to you. And if I could send you look, if you want to come visit me in Adelaide, I'll give you the complimentary donuts as well. So you get the book, the donuts, and the NFT. What a bargain. So I will quickly jump into the NFT project and obviously if anyone's still got questions, drop them in the comments, because I'm still more than happy to answer on anything. It doesn't just have to be the crypto tax tracking side of things, but I'm going to try and share my screen here, just briefly talk about the NFT project. So I'm trying to get a way to show people why I think this is, such good value. And the ones that have joined, you head over to the Discord and you head into the holders chat, and there's a lot of positive talk going on there about how things, about what the benefits are of the collection. So I just want to try and find the services section here. And I just wanted to talk about how we can customize utility if you chat to me. That's the power of the NFT project. It's the power of me being the owner of the project, is that I can talk to you about it and we can make it fit you. So the whole point of the project was that they come with utility. So a lot of it is service-based. We do have the gifts. So there are the gift-based ones where you can see real-world gifts or digital gifts. There hasn't been the uptake on that, unfortunately. But I know, for instance, Chris in the chat here holds one of the books, and he will be getting a book each quarter for the next 3 years sent to him. It won't be this one because I know Chris already has a copy of this. But that's one of the cool things in doing the project, and it comes with services. So they're some of the cool things. But what I'm wanting to do is, let's go to the collection. And if anyone does have a favorite character as I'm scrolling through here, drop it in the comments, because I want to see who's everyone's favorite. But what I can do is customize this. So I'm talking to a client today that's got, they've got a couple individuals and a company. So we can use the 3 tax returns to use that for those services there, for instance. We've got things like the actor that comes with the tax return, the 3 business or tax strategy sessions, and we can use those strategy sessions as, instead of having the strategy sessions, maybe I do some of your crypto tax tracking for you. So that's the cool thing of doing the collection, is that I can work with you guys to work out what works best for you. So got a few comments coming through. So woo from Chris. I would have thought determining the cost base would be relatively simple. It is, but if you don't have the initial purchase data, that's where the issue comes into it, that I've seen happen before. Tempting, would that be a tax write-off? Well, if you visit your accountant, it is normally a tax write-off. And I guess for me, if I'm buying donuts for clients, I'll have to work away so I can claim them. Um, I've got the octopus as a front runner. What I think if I do a series 2, I'm gonna have to bring an octopus into the collection. He can join the other 4 animal characters of the bear. We have the dog somewhere down here. We have who else was in the animal collection? It definitely might need an octopus in series 2. As you will see, there are a few characters as we go through here that are sold out. We've got the kangaroo as well. The loyalist is sold out, just so you're aware. Who else do we have? The T-Rex is the other one. The tax return is also sold out. So we have 4 animals. Should the octopus join the collection? What else have we got here? It would be like tax inception. We've got when recording staking rewards, is tax to be calculated on the day the reward turns up in your wallet, or that when you cash out the fiat? Okay. So this is a bit of a controversial area, and you'll probably get differing opinions from different accounts about how far they're willing to push the limits, etc. The way that ATO have it written on their website is pretty much the day that you become the beneficial owner of the, like once you're deemed that income is yours, that's the date that it should be recognized. So the reason for that is that you think with like a bank account or a dividend, whenever you get paid for holding a capital asset and you get paid in the income event, that's the income event. That's when it gets recorded. So the issue with that, if you've got a staking reward getting paid out daily, each time it's an income event. And then what happens if you sell, so it has nothing to do with converting to fiat. So that's definitely not going to pass as the converting to fiat. I've got some people that I've seen try and group their staking rewards or get them paid out in a group. But that's the way the ATO are trying to say, is that every time you get a staking reward, it's an income event, not just when you convert to fiat, which is it's frustrating. And we're hoping things may change in the future on it, but that's their current wording on. That's why if you're staking 3 things and they each get paid out daily, there's like over with what you've got over 1,000 transactions there, just that. So we've got the miner is my favorite character, so I'll bring the miner up. I'm not sure off the top of my head whether we've had anyone buy the miner yet. So the miner obviously inspired by my crypto mining clients, so which is pretty cool. Got some of them I make $1 a minute, so it is very confusing on how all of that's going to work. Unfortunately, I don't think many softwares are going to be able to track that many transactions, because if you've got that many, you've got 60 an hour. Like, that's just not practical. So in that situation, I'd definitely be grouping them and putting one transaction in, whether it's a day or a week or a month, purely because it's just impossible to do it any other way. Unfortunately, it's just a messy area, and hence why putting a system in place ASAP will definitely put you in a better position. So that would be so hard, definitely. So I did want to touch quickly on the collection. Like I said, is that I'm happy to customize services and utilities to what suits you best. We've got the exclusive holders chat that I'm planning on using more. There will be a time during tax time where that holders chat will be the quickest way to get in touch with me, as far as asking those quick fire questions that I probably won't be able to answer throughout the rest of the Discord as regularly. So there's lots of other advantages that I want to bring to holders beyond just that initial utility. But that is all reliant on the more support the project is, the more, more funds and more time that I can dedicate to it to keep growing it. That's the reality. I'm trying to run a business here. So the more holders I've got, obviously that gives me the more capital to reinvest into producing more content, producing more utility, producing more services, all these kind of fun things for the project. So I've got lots in mind. The more holders we get, the better. I think we're at 59 in the collection minted so far, so almost 5% already. So it's nothing crazy, but this was never going to be something that's going to sell out straight away. The plan was over time. And like, for instance, there was another 3 or 4 that sold last week kind of thing. And that's the plan. Keep working away at that. And it's going to happen. Like, I'm committed to this. I'm going to keep working at it. And I'm very excited that we're going to hit these milestones. And those that have already joined, I hope you're getting good value out of it. So I will wrap things up there tonight. We've had some great questions come through. I do really appreciate everyone joining. And like I said, there's lots going on. But if you want any services or anything like that, touch base with me. And obviously, if you've got suggestions for YouTube content, I need to get some more videos smashed out in the next week or two. So definitely would love any kind of feedback on what type of content you want me to carry. Appreciate everyone that's joined. Congrats on the NFT project. Thank you. I really appreciate all the kind words and the support. And I'll talk to you guys again soon. Thanks.